So I'm going to go back to a different idea of how we talk about it. You've got an identity in your head that you want to be, and you
Yes.
figured out the things that that identity can do, the skills it
Yes.
needs, the knowledge it needs, the experience it needs, and you're trying to build up to that identity. And
Yeah.
once you've
Right.
got that identity, then and you've internalized it, then you can project that out.
Yes. Because basically I'm trying to get myself to believe it. And
Yeah.
I'm getting myself to believe it by just actually doing the
Well,
work.
and the funny thing is, like when you're on this path of on anything where you're learning something, by
Yeah.
the time you're at a point where you can discuss it, like we discuss things, you're probably better than 80% of the people out there. You are in the upper part of the population. But when you're surrounding yourself with people who know more or who know more specific aspects of it, it often feels like you don't know this stuff because they know it better than you.
Yeah.
But when
Right.
you compare yourself to the populace, the major group, you actually are an expert. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's it's understanding, it's getting to a point where that expertise gives you enough confidence to speak on something, but also enough humility to know that, oh yeah, these other people know more than me.
Yeah, and it's very much like anything talking to Elon Musk or talking to Jordan Peterson. I mean, I've spent literally, Chris, I'm not kidding, hundreds of hours. I spend 4 or 5 or 6 hours a day
Hmm.
in voice chat, running tests, just figuring stuff out. And it's like, then if other people push up against you, it's like, this is what I've done. Let me explain exactly why I'm right. These are the tests that I've run. And if they don't know, they'll immediately back down, because a lot of times people just spout stuff off.
Hmm.
It's jujitsu, man, right? If you've rolled around on the mat and you've had Alan Goez, a master level do this, train you for years. If somebody else comes and tries to do something to you, it's like, it only takes seconds to know who actually knows what's happening or what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, even when I look at the feed of videos that the algorithm feeds me on YouTube, I look through there and I can usually tell. Well, I can usually tell who knows what they're talking about or not just from. And there's a lot of bias in this. By looking at their thumbnail and their title, I judge whether or not I think that they're going to know something that I can learn, right? And then
Yeah.
there's half a dozen or a dozen people who I know are have expertise that I like to follow,
Yeah,
and
right.
I'll watch those people. Um, but quite often I'll watch a video on something like Obsidian, right? I don't consider
Yeah.
myself an Obsidian expert, and yet I've gone deep into a lot of its functionality. So when I watch a video, it's like, well, no, this is not a video for me. This is a video for a beginner. This is a video for whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got to learn to filter that out and how you signal for that. So some of it is you put in time and you build a trusted network of resources that you like, so experts that you follow. And the other thing though is to really be able to kind of look for cues that show whether that person is showing you something that's at the level you're currently at,
Yeah.
right? Because one of the things you always want to do is challenge yourself a little bit, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
challenge yourself so much that you shut down and say, I'm never going to do this again. But you also don't want to make it so easy where you're not learning anything.
Yeah.
You've got to figure out the balance. And I think getting good at attuning yourself to filtering through the noise and figuring out what pieces are out there that are worthwhile is part of the critical thinking we always push. We always want to build.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, for me, I can always tell somebody who's faking it versus not faking it by the kind of words they use. Like the real expert will typically start to talk about all their failures and this is what we've done and this is how we messed up and this is how we overcame, right? And a beginner, that's just boistering, you'll never hear them talk about failures or what they've learned or what they didn't do. And I think you can always dig in any, especially in some technical pursuit, by asking, well, tell me exactly how that worked. What problems did you have? What challenges? I mean, walk me through step by step what your failures were. And the expert will always be, yeah, this is what we tried and we had this failure and that failure and then we started working around it and this is how we got through it. And you're like, okay, that's the expert. The others, I don't know, we just did it and it just kind of worked. I'm like, no, 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 it doesn't just work.
I was, as you were mentioning that, I was thinking of comparing a person who's been doing something for 20 years versus someone who just graduated from college and is trying to get a job.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the person who's got 20 years experience is got a level of self-confidence around just having gone through all these experiences and knowing that they can get through it. And
Yeah.
quite often, the person who's just out of school or just learned something and doesn't have the practical experience plays up the things they worked on, and so it almost painting an overly positive picture.
Yeah.
So
Oh, of course.
you're right.
Yeah.
And part of that is just overall personal development. The older you get, the more experience you've got, the more you can put things into context.
Yeah.
But sometimes you want someone with sometimes you want the ego that comes with not having the experience. Sometimes that makes you take risks and make decisions that or gambles that actually do have a high payoff. And that's one thing.
Could
As you
be.
get older, you generally tend to lose that. Although some serial entrepreneurial people will maintain that for a long time.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's yeah. And I don't know how to describe that. I mean, I couldn't like write it on a piece of paper, but I know you can just feel it, you know.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing, and I don't. But that's interesting. I don't think everyone can. Now, my question is, if you are the kind of person who isn't good at reading another person, and I'll call that reading another person, are you aware that you're not good at reading another person, or do you think you're good and you just aren't good at reading another person?
You know,
Because
I don't
generally, when you're talking,
know.
you can tell when someone's telling the truth. Personally, I believe I can tell when people are generally telling the truth. I don't know how much I'm deluding myself on this. I can generally tell when they're being authentic. I can generally, I feel that 90% of the time I can make that judgment in that interaction, right?